I don't want to be here. And if you found this channel, hello, I am Zeos Pantera. I run Z Reviews, and I review headphones and amps and speakers and audio things. And anyone who's been following my channel more than the few seconds that you have will know that I don't do Apple. Just don't do them as a company. So you might want to consider that before you continue watching. Because I'm going to review the Airpod Pros. My broken set of Airpod Pros. But Airpod Pros nonetheless. You see, I wouldn't normally go out and buy these. And Apple wouldn't contact me. That's a little ridiculous. So instead, through a series of, I guess, fortunate events, this set came to me. You see, I have worked in the past with Dakoni. Dakoni makes headphone pads, just the pads. And then the little Dakoni nuggets, the little great things you put on top of your headphones that make them more comfortable. And they were like, hey, did you see that we're coming out with these foam tips for AirPod Pros? And I'm like, oh, no, I didn't see that. I didn't give a shit. And they're like, well, we kind of would like you to at least try them. And then could you have a set of AirPod Pros so you could try them and see if they make an improvement? And I'm like, no. And they're like, all right, we're going to send you a pair and then you can review them. And I'm like, great. Fucking great. I mean, look, they're not cheap. On Amazon right now, AirPod Pros are $234.95, which is not cheap. And I've got a pile of cheaper true wireless. I've got Mifos, I've got Soundcores, I've got these KZs, I got the MIs, which are basically rip-off AirPods. But I mean, I haven't reviewed any of these because I'm sort of married to the idea of like FIO, true wireless adapters. So you can use any real IEMs you want, which, oh, point this out. So you can go into your box, which I'm sure all of you have an IEM box that looks like this. And you can pick out real IEMs, the IEMs that are worth money and have design and skill and passion put into them. And then you could use these wirelessly. But now that I've given these some airtime, I don't hate them. I want to hate them. One of them is actually damaged, and I've looked, and there's a Reddit thread about when the left side buzzes and you speak and you hear it. But when they're not doing that, and I'm actually listening to music, I'm kind of glad. Because Apple people, I know you're watching. Some of you are watching, some of you are not. You have no idea what even any of those headphones are. These will look pretty red ones. Are those Beats? No, they're fucking not. They're Fostex TH909s. They're like $1,800. Trust me. They're made in Japan. You want to know about them later. This is a good thing. It's a good thing because the sound quality that comes out of these is good. Like compared, like I have the box here, the box that's worth thousands of dollars in IEMs and the different blends of the cables and the people doing electrostat blend with balanced armatures, blend with dynamics. And then Apple finally, and I believe this is the first Apple product that I'm going to give a nod to, has made something that actually sounds good. Like it costs $230. And if you tell me to find a $230 IEM, like a non-powered IEM, just a straight up one you plug in, I could definitely match this. But the thing is, I could yell as loud as humanly fucking possible about, don't buy AirPods, buy this or buy that. No one's going to listen to me. So it's nice to know that Apple has put out something that's at least going to give the general populace that is using them a taste of what actual good is. Now they're doing it with DSPs and weird funky stuff, but so it's not like a traditional thing, but nonetheless. So here's how they come. Like I have to explain AirPods to anyone. I think that goes there, and this goes here. So you get the box. You open the box. It's got a charging port, a USB-C on the bottom. You plug it in. I don't have an Apple phone, blatantly. This is an old Moto Z2 Force with the removable battery pack, which limits the functionality of this. And there are apps that can add some functionality back, like battery levels and ear detection, but they all cost money, and I wasn't doing it for this particular review. So it comes with this case, it comes with this very, 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 very interesting little folded. I actually this is the most interesting part about AirPods is that this unfolds, and look at the holder for the little silicone tips. And you got a small and a large, and the mediums are what come on it. And they're very soft and they're very specific. You can't just use any old tips on an AirPod. They actually have a plastic hardened ring that clips in. So if I pull one of these out of here and detach this, you can see that's flat. There's no nozzle involved like there is in a normal IM. And they do that so that the tip doesn't go into your ear. Because when you're dealing with an IM, like when a company makes an IM, any of these, they're going to sell 2,000 or 10,000 or 50,000 of those. That is a very small amount. But when Apple comes out with a product, millions upon tens of millions of people are going to shove this in their ear. And let me tell you, if you've ever stuck your tongue in 10 million people's ears, it all feels different. Everyone's ears are deeper or shallower or bigger or smaller. So getting an IM or a tip on an IM to work in 10 billion people's ears is not easy. So what they've done is they've removed the nozzle and they've pulled this way back, way back. They try to put it in your ear as little as possible. And that's a problem with the silicone tips that it comes with, because the silicone tips don't really grip all that much. They're a nice material. They feel premium, but silicone doesn't block outside sound. When you use them, when you usually use an IM, you want to get a good seal. You want to get them in there and stop all other sounds from coming in based on, I almost always use Dakoni tips for all my IMs because I want to completely block it. And since this is not going in as far as even a normal IM, having to block the sound requires even better fit. So the silicones weren't doing it. I did try them for a couple days, or back and forth, on and off, I should say. And then when I put the Dakonis, I'm like, oh, okay. So that's why they made it. And there's a couple knockoff ones on Amazon if you search. But Dakoni has it's not a memory foam. It's memory foam tips. When you squeeze them and you let go, they take like a good 8-10 seconds to slowly balloon back up to fill your ear. And that could be fine. Comply does it like that. Dakoni uses this other very fast foam. You don't have to squeeze it. You just wiggle it a little bit and it goes, and then it's back to normal. Which is why I like Dakoni tips, because I could put them in and out without losing my fucking mind. So, forgetting the original tips, I'm going to now review the AirPod Pros solely with Dakoni tips. And by the way, my ears are weird. I have a large one on the right and a medium one on the left. And we talk about how the AirPods come. So they show up, in this case, you get those little tips, which we're not going to talk about those. There's nothing on this except for a USB-C and a pair reset button back here that is super fucking flush mount to the point where it almost doesn't look like it's a button. But, that's Apple. Designed by Apple in California, assembled in China. And little metal hinge. And when you get it, you just put on your Bluetooth on whatever device you have. Actually, if you have an Apple device, you don't have to put on Bluetooth. There's no steps. You just open it next to the phone and it works. However, if you're on Android, you should open it. You'll get an orange LED indicating that it's powered on, and then you hold this button on the back till it blinks green, I believe, and then it's in pairing mode, and then it just comes up on your phone just like any other Bluetooth device. And once it pairs, that's it. These are paired. Now you don't need the case, and it is wireless. There is a contacts at the bottom, which is a good place to put it, because it means you don't have, a lot of these other ones have it up here or further up, and having it at the bottom means you got it further away from your inner ear, and less wax and goop, and ears are disgusting. Remember when I gave the analogy about sticking your tongue in an ear? Don't do that. So once you've taken them out of here and you're paired to your phone, you can just throw this thing in the garbage. I mean, this is a battery pack that charges the IMs, and I think they say 24 hours of use. If you just keep putting them back in here, you got like 4.5 hours. Then you got to put it back in the thing, and then it'll recharge, and you can take it back out and use another 4.5 hours, put it back in the thing and take it out. And you can do that like 4 or 5 times. So my recommendation is you just charge that thing and put these back in. And if you need to go more than 5 hours, just get a wired IEM. You'll be very happy with the what's the best IM? Starfields. If you want to try a wired IM, might I recommend the Starfields by Moondrop. So you take these out, and they situate pretty easily in your ear, especially with the foam tips, because they grab a little better. And this shit sticks out. And you can't watch me, because I don't turn the camera around. Again, for those new people, this is completely going to be this head cam. And I believe on Apple, you get 3 sound modes. The first sound mode, which you, by the way, initialize by... There's a flat pad here. There's no actual physical button, but you squeeze it, and it goes click, because Apple's really good at that. Their touchpads on their laptops and their MacBooks and things, when you press down, it feels like it clicks, but it doesn't click. There's a little vibrator in there that goes, and it emulates a click. So it does the same thing here. So on either side, it doesn't matter which one, you can single press to play pause, which is now playing, double press for next track, triple press for last track. There's no volume controls, which kind of bothers me, considering left and right are working. I would almost, that's another reason I like the FIO BTR, FIO UTWS ones, because you get next track, last track, volume up, volume down. You can do things with the two. This will do play control, answer your phone. You cannot on Android bring up the assistant without installing an app, which you can on iOS. You can bring up Siri and all that other shit. I don't really use it that often that I need it. What is nice, and DMS has told me this, is that when you have these, and I don't know why it's specific to these. I don't know why it wouldn't work on every fucking device you pair to an Apple, but it should read your messages and let you reply. I've also heard very good things about the microphone quality in this. I don't use it for like phone calls and conferences, but a lot of people, like fucking everybody says that the microphones in these are pretty fucking spectacular. Just, yeah, they're the best you can get for like teleconferencing. We're all stuck at home in quarantine. You got to be at a meeting. You want something lightweight that you could put on and hear your meeting in it. This might be your option. I'm actually starting to do this review as if it's not an Apple product, which is scaring me. So you miss out on some features not having an Apple phone, but a lot of the other ones remain. If you press and hold, there are 2 sound modes. On iOS, there's 3 sound modes. There's noise canceling, there's neutral, and then there's open. And neutral would just be like having any other thing with nothing happening. It's just music plays through an IM. Noise canceling is noise canceling. And with the foam tips specifically, it is pretty spectacular noise canceling. I think if my ears were shaped slightly differently and I can get them in a little further, it'd be even better. But I've read articles where people have put this in just to avoid people snoring, because you could sleep with these in your ear and turn to the side and you're not like... So I have to give it to Apple for their noise canceling. I've tested Bose, I've tested Sony, I've tested like the cheap ones from Tautronics. And I'd say this is up there with like Bose levels of noise canceling. Maybe not the 700s. I still think maybe the Bose 700s were the best noise canceling I've ever heard. But these are certainly prettier than those fucking ugly things. So you press it and hold it, and it goes between those two in Android. In Android, you don't get the neutral function. You just get either noise canceling or open. And open is interesting, and that's one of the other reasons that this may not appeal to you. Unless you get the Chacones, which are an earbud, essentially. But this means you put them in your ear, and that's it. Fuck off, world. Fuck off. I'm listening to music now. And that works. But where do you see people using IMs a lot? Outside, in the street, on a bus. Now, if you're in a bus and you don't want to hear brrr and people talking, you noise canceling on. But you know how fucking dangerous it is walking, like crossing streets with closed IEMs in? Like when I'm out there, I lower my music a lot. Because I want to hear that car driving up that isn't seeing me because, you know, people are assholes. And if you put this on open, it does a spectacular job of making this closed IM, because it is a closed, sealed, foam-blocked thing now. It does a spectacular job of allowing the microphones to pick up the real world and play them in your headphones. Now, I've had a couple that did poor jobs of that. I think Plantronics did one where it was like a single microphone only on the left. So if someone was screaming your name, you would be like, "Go!" And it was just a mono sound. Like, you couldn't tell where that was coming from. You just looked around like, what? What? These do full stereo. And when I put them on the first time, I was a little bit shocked at the positional audio. Like, I was snapping my fingers around my head like, wow. Cars were driving by left to right. I would say if there was no other reason to buy AirPod Pros, and I know there's going to be some in that pile that probably do something similar, but as of this moment, for a safety reasons, forgetting my brand bias of fuck Apple, that is a safety feature. If I had a son or a daughter and they were going to school and I knew they were going to be walking around with their fucking AirPods in, because you know they're going to ask for it. Daddy's got focal stellias on the wall, but I want AirPods. Haha. But if I had to pick it for just a pure safety reason, yes. You couldn't force them to use the open option when they're walking. You have to beat that into them. But having it so that you can literally just have IMs in, which sound good. They sound honestly very good. They're a little bit artificial, and I'll explain that in a second. But having decent sounding music and then having it negate the fact that it's a closed IM with those microphones, that's hard to beat. It's hard to beat. It's fucking hard to beat. I'm going to look. I'm going to try. I aim to beat them with something in that pile over there. But as of right this second, just doing that is almost enough to make me recommend these. Now, the tips add a lot to this scenario because the stock tips don't really insulate that much. So when you do open or you do super closed, it's sort of like a middle ground. It's like, here's neutral, and then you do open, but they're already sort of open because silicone tips don't seal that well. And then you do closed, and you do like noise canceling, and it works, but it's still letting sound in through the silicone. So shoving foam in there, real good. I don't even know how to describe the Dakoni foam, because here I could just like squeeze the shite out of it, and it's back. Well, it's a much faster foam than you get on a lot of the memory foams. So it's their own little formulation that they do. And it just sucks that you have to pick on the website, which I think right now they're only on Dakoni's site. And it's like $15 for a size. You pick a size. If you want a 3-pack, and I'm pretty sure you'd have to order, if you wanted 2 different sizes, you'd probably have to order 2 different packs of 2 different sizes. But a 3-pack is $30. And you're not going to be changing very often. Dakoni tips rarely fail. I have a whole, where is this? Here's my little Dakoni Nuggets box filled with like tips that I've used and reused, and these won't work on there, obviously. But these are like the standard Dakoni tip, and you could see it just flexes and goes back. It doesn't live in that crushed state. So how does it sound, Zeos? Because we're here the people who are already here, the people who are not new, that didn't hear about anything I just said, want to know how the fuck they sound. Well, DSPs, bro. You know how I was talking about DSPs? Let me explain to the layman's and everyone. DSPs is digital signal processing. And when you get a headphone like that, that is a purely analog thing. You put sound into it, and there's dampening, and there's foam, and there's other things that are used to correct the sound based solely on the physicality of the driver. When you enter into the digital realm of like Bose headphones, Sony powered things, anything that has its own amplifiers built in, you have the ability as God to reach in there, and even though it's moving physically like this, tell it, you know, when the frequency response is exactly here and the volume is here, do something different so that it doesn't fuck up like it normally would. And you can correct the output. And I can just tell they DSP'd the hell out of these. And it worked. It's one of the best implementations of a DSP corrected anything that I've ever heard. Because it sounds clear and quality, and there's punch to the low end, but you could tell it's sort of like a boosted bass. And when you raise the volume, it doesn't get super loud. They don't want to distort it, but they'll definitely give you enough low and say, oh, this is good. I'm not sure if you get other EQ options when you get into the actual iOS app, but when you're running it on Android, you get what you get. And I was enjoying music on them. And that is about as big a praise as I can shovel on to a set of AirPod Pros. I put them in, they're comfortable. You change the tips and they don't slide around or move. And then you play music and you're not disgusted by it. And if I'm giving them my nod, I think everyone else should just sort of like give them a moment. Give them a moment. Apple has been fucking up audio for a long time. iTunes is the devil, all right? iTunes with their MP3s for fucking 20 years when it should have been FLAC in like 2006. They should have had lossless. So no. We're not going to use FLAC, that free lossless codec. We're going to make our own Apple lossless codec because Apple, fuck you, Apple. It's called the free lossless audio codec because it's universal. Everything supports it. But no. You're going to go make ALAC because you're dicks. All right? I have bones to pick with Apple and iTunes integration and how it fucking works. And I had a friend who made me go to his house and he paid me to fix his computer and he paid me to fix his iTunes. And you couldn't cut my arms off as a threat to have me fix iTunes ever again. So I have deep-seated hatred for this fucking company. However, on the hardware aspect of this and the sound reproduction aspect of this and the safety and convenience aspect of this, they get a fucking pass. Get a fucking pass, Apple. Hope you're fucking happy. It took you like, I don't know, 16 years before in my eyes you actually produced a product that I was okay with. AirPods, I was actually okay with the shape because I was like, that's super convenient. Hang it in your ear, take it out your ear. Hang it in your other ear, take it out your ear. Of course people want that. Of course everyone's fucking got them. They're convenient. They have a stick. She's on a stick. Pasta's there. Apple person. She's got the pole. There's a pole. There's a stick. Stick pole. That being said, as I awkwardly heap praise onto these apples, this pair's damaged. And based on this thread I found from a couple months ago, here on, Reddit, where's the Reddit? On our AirPods, because of course there's in our AirPods, buzzing from AirPod Pros. And there's just infinite people saying, yeah, I got it. How'd you fix it? And everyone just had to replace it. Some people reset their AirPods by holding the button down on the case with them in it for like 15 seconds and that resets it. Other people said they took the tips off and they cleaned up behind it because there's something rattling. It's the most annoying thing because when I speak, certain sounds reverberate in the noise canceling. So it's something to do with the microphone that's listening to the world, the one that's taking the sounds and bringing them in when you have it at open mode, or taking the sounds and canceling them out when you have it in noise canceling mode. It's picking up on a certain frequency and just fucking it. Now, mine is in the left channel. A lot of people say it's the left. Some people are saying it's the right. I think it's just random. And they'll replace it for free. You go to an Apple store. Well, you can't go to an Apple store today in April of fucking 2020. But you can get it replaced and you can call Apple and get it done. So I might do that. It doesn't happen all the time on mine. It's just when I'm speaking very specifically in a certain room where the echo and reflections do it. So congratulations, Apple. You made something that sounds great when it doesn't distort in my left ear. But at least Apple will take care of you. So that's that. I want to thank Tacony for sending me their tips because I honestly wouldn't have given a shit about these if they didn't have these foam tips. They do a wonderful job of fixing the seat and the way they sound. Not so much. The DSP is already handling that, but just the comfort and the fit and make sure it doesn't flop out of my head when I'm doing that. So thank you for them. And thank you for them, for sending these, which now I've got to go through the process of replacing them so that I can at least say I have a set here, because I'm going to want to compare them directly against what I have in that pile. There are some really nice wireless IMs over there, like beautifully built. Like this case, this plastic shit case. Here, hold on. Let me just grab the MeFos. Oh, I throw the MeFos. Let me show you what real, true engineering is, everybody. So you got the Apple case. Oh, it's a little white thing. All metal. These come out. And I don't like most of them because, again, I love the sticks. Look at this. I could hold the stick. Where this is sort of like... shit. So, I mean, we're working on it, everybody. We're working on it. Just... oh, Jesus. We're going to get to those. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. Zeos approves of Apple AirPod Pros as much as it pains me, even if my pair specifically is broken. But when you do the open air and you're listening to music and you could still hear the real world, but you're getting that same sort of closed back experience of clean music and then noise canceling. Like this is I would get these working again, and I will get them on a plane because that's the ultimate goal. So links to these, description, links to the Deconi tips, links to this wallpaper, in case you don't know, if you've never been here before. Every review has a different wallpaper, and every wallpaper is downloadable in the description. And if you want to support this channel and the madness that happens on it, Patreon and Subscribestar. The $5 tiers will give you access to every wallpaper I've ever used, which you can look up the original artists on your own. You get to see these reviews early, only a couple days early for this one because I'm trying to coincide with when the releases the tips. You get to ask me any questions you want on platform if you're building a new home theater, if you're interested in buying an amplifier, or you live in a weird country, there's only like 3 options. I can help you whittle that down. Give me like a week to respond. And then finally the yard sale happened, and I would put these in the yard sale. Except I want to get them working, and then I probably want to use them at least a few more times in comparisons. So these will not be in the yard sale. There are other things, other IEMs that didn't fit in this case that I'm like, you know what? 12 is my limit. 12 IEMs is my limit. So join the yard sales, and from the 1st to the 10th of every month, I will sell you things that I'm not using anymore, things that companies have sent, and they're just like, here, I don't give a fuck. So check that out. The $10 tier gets you into a private behind-the-scenes Telegram chat where those people are like, haha, you got Apple. And I'm like, oh, I got Apple. But yeah, great bunch of guys. They pay my rent, basically. And they can ask me questions anytime they want, all the time. They see pictures of my cat. I have an adorable cat. Look for Chewbacca. She's on my Instagram. Instagram in my description. That's it. I will come back tomorrow with a non-Apple product, and we'll see if we can get another 6-year streak going where I don't talk about an Apple audio product. Hopefully I can pull that off. Anyway, thank you. Good night. See you next time. Or tomorrow.